Hello, Achievers, and welcome to day 4 of your free 5-day Goal Setting Bootcamp. How are those goal setting muscles? Are they hurting a little bit? If so, that means that you are learning everything that you need to learn to help you be successful in being the goal setter that you want to be and the achiever that you will be. Well, let's talk about what's going to be in day 4. Some more heavy lifting. Yes, some more heavy lifting. But guess what? It's well worth it because we know that in order to be successful, we need to know how to set effective goals. So today I want to talk about we talk about writing down everything you need to do to accomplish your goals. Now this right here is where people just start to drop off. People don't mind thinking about what they want to achieve. They don't mind envisioning themselves, having the vision. They'll even write it down. They'll put a deadline date to it. They'll say why it's important to them. They will think about the obstacles. They will think about everything that they need. But now we're talking about writing down everything you need to do to accomplish this goal. Make a list of everything you need to do to accomplish this goal. Now, throughout this boot camp, I have used a lot of different examples to teach you about setting effective goals. We talked about being a published author. We talked about losing weight. We talked about saving money. And I'm just going to use the saving money just to give you a very simplistic way of looking at making a list of the things that you need to achieve. One of the things in my Achieve Big Academy that one of my groups are working on, they're all working on becoming a part of the Karma Club. And the Karma Club is basically just saving $1,000 a month. And while that might seem little to some, it's major to some other folks. But they're saving $1,000 from January to December. And a part of that task, so the goal is they will save $1,000 by December the 31st. So what do you need to achieve this goal? Well, part of the goal is they need to go back and review their finances to see if they could realistically participate in the Karma Club. Because while we're only talking about $1,000, for some people to save $1,000 is unrealistic because they have bills that need to be paid and they need to meet those obligations. And while yes, you should pay yourself first and you should build the savings, they also may not be able to save as much because we have some people who are doing 500, some that's doing 1,000, and then we have some that they're actually doing 5,000. But the goal was the Karma Club, and that was 1,000. But some people wanted to stretch themselves, and some people were realistic about they had some other things that they had to take care of. But we made a list of everything that they needed to do, and one of the things was to go back and to evaluate their finances, to look and see, do you actually have the extra amount of money that is needed to go out? Because I do believe, let's say it's maybe like $200 or $250, maybe $200 a month. No, maybe $100. I think 1,000 total. I'm sorry, it's $100 a month, and probably a little less. I think it's $87.50. Let me make sure I got this clear. It's $87.50 a month, I believe, that would get them to $1,000 starting from January to December the 31st. So they had to really go back and assess their finances and see could they afford the $87.50 and where would the money come out from. Then they had to determine what bank were they going to save, because they couldn't just save this money in the regular bank that they were already banking with. They had to go to another bank where they wasn't going to have a Visa check card or anything. They had to look up banks. They had to research at least 5 banks, find out who was giving the best interest rates and things of that nature. In addition, they had to sign up so it could be automatically deduction from their pay account. So there was a list. So you see where I'm going with it. They had to think of everything that was needed in order for them to actually start and end this goal. So when you're thinking about your goal, if you want to be an author and you want to write a book, one of the things you probably would think about is, what type of book do I want to write? What genre do I want to be in? Then once you decide, do an outline for your book. When do you want to have your book signing. You have to make a list of all the publishing companies that you want to pitch your book to. You have to come up with a marketing plan. You have to come up with a budget for this project. How much money do you have to put around this project? Because you need seed money. How are you going to develop a web page around this? How are you going to sell it? How are you going to market your book? There are so many things that come with your goals, so you really have to think about everything that you need to do from A to Z. And why I say this is the hardest part for people is because it requires time. It requires you to think. Yep, to go that word again. It requires you to be intentional and think about everything that is needed. Now, there's a part two to this. Once you have thought about everything is needed and you have written it all down, then you have to go back and put it into some type of order, because the order is which is how you're going to start walking the path to getting towards this goal. So we go back to, we're going to save money. The first step for everybody was to go back and evaluate their finances and see if they could actively participate in the Karma Club. And once they decided that they could participate in the Karma Club, then they had to go and do the research to find 5 banks that they would be interested in. Then they had to pick one of the banks out of the 5 banks. Then they had to go open an account with the bank. Then they had to do direct deposit. They had to go set up in their bank where they could automatically have the money transferred or have it come out of their paycheck. Whatever way they decided to do, whether they was going to transfer it themselves, which I did not recommend. I recommended that they have it come directly out of their paycheck, or they have it go directly out of their one account into that account. So that's what they had to do. And then they had to monitor every month. How are you going to monitor? Look at your are you going to look at your statement? Then they had to go put it in the budget, all these different things. So they listed everything out. They put it in, and once they made the list, they put it in chronological order, so they would have a path to follow to achieve the goal. And while this is a very simplistic goal and there were not a lot of things to list, this is the formula for doing this. Some of your goals will have a lot of items that you need to accomplish to get them. There are always little sub tasks to get to the ultimate goal. And you have to be able to think them all out. And you need to give this some time. This is not something that you just rush through and just write down. You need to think about this. And I do encourage that you sit down with somebody and just say, hey, I want to do this. What do you think all the things I would need to do to get this done? Ask them and let them help you. Because sometimes you're so close to it, sometimes you don't think about those things. That's why people hire me, because I think from A to Z. I can think of all the things that you may need to. And guess what? Sometimes even I might overlook. And after I look at the plan I have for you, then I come back and say, I left this out and I add it in. But so what you're going to do, you're going to think about everything you need to do to accomplish this goal. Not only are you going to think about it, but you're going to write them all down. And once you write them all down, then you're going to go back and put it in some type of chronological order, because that will set the path what you would do for this for 1 week, for the month, for 6 weeks, for 90 days, until you reach your goal. I hope this has not been too much for you. I hope you have learned something from all of your bootcamp days. We are on day 4. We got one more day to go, y'all. One more day to go. I hope you are learning. See you later, Achievers.